Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host Flo, and this is Current Cinematic Conundrums, where we have such sights to show you. Ladies and gentlemen, fulfilling promises made ages ago, I now finally present you episode number 1 of what we will simply call Current Cinematic Conundrums. As you may have noticed, this is a separate show from the regular Art or Trash Cinema podcast format, which also pursues different goals. Firstly, the show will obviously be in English, one reason being the attempt to appeal to a wider audience. Furthermore, this is the place where we, me and you dear listener, will go deeper. We will explore the bowels of cinematic pleasures and the vast empty abyss that is the world of horror and exploitation. Moreover, I will just simply talk about whatever the fuck I feel like talking about. And with that, we will begin with the first episode of Current Cinematic Conundrums. That was Knockout Monkey with the song Bite, and now we are here to discuss the movie Raw, or Grave, from 2016. For those who are not aware, Raw was one of the movies presented at the Neuchâtel International Fantastic Film Festival, where me and Jan, the co-host of our German show, the Art or Trash Cinema Podcast, were invited to as press. For those who are not aware of NIFFF, it is a film festival in Switzerland which mostly presents movies from the horror genre, Asian cinema, exploiters, and loads of other great independent work. Now, while me and Jan do discuss all the movies we have seen there together in our main show, this is the place where I will fill in the gaps, so to speak, as I have seen a ton of movies without Jan, which I would love to talk about. And this is where Raw comes into play. Raw, or Grave, is a French horror drama from 2016, written and directed by Julia Ducournau. The synopsis goes as follows. Raised as a vegetarian, doe-eyed freshman Justine, following in her parents' footsteps, is sent off to the Saint-Exupéry veterinary school where the black sheep of the family, her big sister Alexia, is already studying. There, Justine is forced to take part in a cruel hazing ritual, which among other things involves her eating a raw rabbit kidney. What follows is a descent deep into her uncharted animalistic tendencies. Before long, repulsion will be replaced with an unprecedented, equally unquenched and palpable craving for raw meat, transforming Justine into a monstrous carnivore. Now, in case you have not heard of this movie, I feel obliged to warn you, meaning it is not for the faint of heart. However, in terms of a spoiler-free review, I can highly recommend this movie to those who are somewhat explorers of cinema. This is certainly a film which will appeal to horror fans, but it has much more to offer than just excessive imagery. Behind a gross and sometimes shocking exterior hides an interesting parable which is told in a very angry fashion. So here it is, my stamp of approval. Now let us go into spoiler territory. If you have not seen the film and plan to do so, I suggest you shut this off and come back after you've seen it. Raw certainly has its shocking moments, but as I have mentioned before, there is more to it. This movie's all about desires and temptation and the way we should deal with them in our lives. It is clear from the beginning that Justine stems from an overprotective family. This is partly demonstrated in a strict vegetarian lifestyle for one, the fact that Justine seems to never have been confronted by sex or alcohol before, and the general form of interaction between her parents as well. Justine now is thrown into this world of desires, lust and temptation, being literally abandoned by her parents in the parking lot. What then follows is an escalation of all of the aforementioned on probably every conceivable level. Justine is deflowered by her gay roommate in a very intense sex scene, which to me was one of the best and most disturbing scenes of the movie actually. Moreover, she starts craving meat, which before was a taboo for her, and she escalates this desire by pursuing cannibalistic tendencies. We also see her escalate her alcohol consumption and see her smoking weed for the first time. Translating this into a more general interpretation shows a coming-of-age scenario whereby we see a teenager which, like every other teenager, is confronted by the temptations of the world. All these temptations can either be escalated to a level which would be destructive to ourselves and those around us, or they can be controlled and engaged in at a healthy level. Justine's sister is the negative example in this movie. She freely engages in her desires and ultimately lands in prison for murder. It is also revealed that Justine's mother has managed to curb her desires and therefore is the positive example, and thus is leading a somewhat normal life. At the end of the movie, it is unclear to us whether Justine will manage to choose the right path herself. And this is what the movie wants to show us. It demonstrates the choice we have to make and the ugliness which can result from excess. However, if we manage to engage in these pleasures in a normal and healthy way, we will be able to live a regular life. And that is Raw. It is gross, it is dark, and it is somehow depressing, which for me makes it a late entry in the new wave of French horror cinema, following examples such as Inside, Marches, High Tension and the like. However, just like all the aforementioned movies, I also really enjoyed this one, if that is the right word. While the acting is nothing short of fantastic, the cinematography is nothing to write home about, as it is very close to what we have seen in many of the past French horror movies, referring to the typical muddy and gritty look. It still does its job in capturing the viewer with just the right amount of bizarre shots and camera angles. Raw is an ambitious parable on life choices, packed in a shocker mixed with a classic coming-of-age story. What is more, it has had a lasting effect on me, and I found myself thinking back to certain scenes of the movie even a week or so after seeing it. So yeah, I recommend you give this one a watch. And that is already it for this episode. Please go and check out the following episodes regarding the movies I've watched at NIFFF. There is more awesomeness to follow. Also, if you are skilled in the art of German, I would highly appreciate if you go and check out the Art or Trash Cinema podcast. And with that, I bid you farewell. And remember, we have such sights to show you.